Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, David. This is your host, Zach, where we try to bring camaraderie to rival sports fans. I'm a Rams fan, he's a Niners fan, and this is the way it goes. We hate each other, but we became friends through the love of football.
We
So
ain't fucking friends. Fuck you, James.
that's the kind of shit you'll hear all day here at the Best Coast Podcast. So, what a great week from the sports coming up here. We got the fantastic 8 rolling around, and then also the college football national championship game
Yes, sir.
on Monday. That's going to be a great one to watch. I'm looking forward to that college bowl game. Or it's not even a bowl game anymore, right? Or is it going to be a bowl game?
No, it's not a bowl game. No, it's the semifinals and the quarters were all different bowl games. Because
Okay.
there's like the advertise, basically all the ad dollars that are associated with that. They couldn't get rid of that, so this is like a standalone thing. It's in Atlanta. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I really just don't like Ryan Day. Like, here's the thing: I don't like Ryan Day. He's not a good person, so I kind of want Ohio State to lose. I also have done nothing but bash on Notre Dame every year they've been in the playoff for being not really a good enough team to sit at the table. Here they are. So
So
I know a
number one or
lot
number
of people
two.
have taken Ohio State. I do think that Notre Dame defense is elite and should keep Notre Dame hanging around. But offensively, Notre Dame is going to have to play it close to a perfect game.
Right. I agree with you. I think, I mean, personally, I'm going to throw out my pick right now because we didn't set anything up. I'm going with Notre Dame to win. I want Notre Dame to win.
Sam.
I do. It's just because I grew up with my brother who's always been a Michigan fan, so he hates Ohio State. So I've come to that brotherly love of hating Ohio State too.
Right.
And I also get annoyed with them when they're announcing their college sports on like Sunday Night Football. The Ohio State University.
Ohio State University. Yeah. So, do you know how the Fighting Irish got their name?
No.
So back in I'm not sure the date actually, but in the early to mid 1900s, there was the Ku Klux Klan wanted to have a rally in South Bend, Indiana, and the locals were like, hell no, and went out there and beat up the Klan and chased them off. Hence the name, the Fighting Irish. And I think that's a awesome way to get a nickname for anything, is to beat up Nazis and Klan members. So
I have to totally agree with you on that one, man. That's how they got their name. I love that.
I recently just learned that, and I was like, why don't people talk about that more? And it's like, you don't want to lose racist Klan member, football fans? Well,
right.
Maybe you should, So I'm looking at that. I also think that, Ohio State has been highly competitive and been in a bunch of national championship games. I want to say they won one in the early 2000s as well. I think this natty would mean more to Notre Dame than it would mean to Ohio State.
And didn't Notre Dame win one of the first national championships of college football way back?
Probably. It's one of the. Come on, it's Notre Dame. It's the Fighting Irish. It's a storied It's a storied school. Think of the players that have come out of there. It's Heisman winners and Hall of Famers and just legends of the game have come out of Notre Dame. Same with Ohio State. I'm not going to take anything away from the Ohio State program. Again, the amount of Hall of Famers, Pro Bowlers. Legends of the game that have come out of both schools is you could probably go toe to toe back and forth. If you were to make top 11 offense and defense out of Notre Dame and a top 11 offensive defense all time out of Ohio State, you're going to look at that and be like, wow, those are some highly impressive names out of there. So, when you look at that, they're really evenly matched. I just think that Notre Dame has less to lose than Ohio State. Ohio State, if they don't win this, it's a stain on the whole season. Notre Dame wasn't even supposed to really be here. They were supposed to get bounced early. I really do like what Coach Freeman is doing with these guys. He's a player's coach, and I always appreciate and like a player's coach. So I'm with you. I'm going to go Notre Dame in this one.
Right. Okay. And then now that this college football playoff format happened, how much has this either helped improve people's draft stock or sunk their draft stock because now they're playing actual meaningful games in these late cold weather rounds, which coaches love to see.
I
I
mean,
know, like,
okay, you can look at a guy like Carson Beck, who hurt
right,
his draft stock by getting injured. Granted, that was the SEC championship game, but that's the risk with the playoffs and playing for seeding. You can get hurt, your draft stock you can have a bad showing. I also, the other side of it is you look at I'm trying to blank on his name right now, but I mean like the Boise State running back. All he did was improve his draft stock. So I think it's
right.
good to get more tape. You're getting primetime reps on tape in front of not just scouts who are already very familiar with your game, but you're also in front of fan bases. And
Yeah,
like
now
they say
national,
that
yeah,
they say that the guy from Boise State might get drafted to Dallas. Like they're probably already printing up jerseys with that dude's name and number on the back. So there is a marketing aspect to it. And the names that were involved in this first playoff, I mean, we had Georgia, you had Clemson, you had Notre Dame, you had Penn State, you had Ohio State. Like you got some great matchups here. That was really good TV and very entertaining. Even though the first round, yeah, there were some blowouts. I think
I get that.
it is,
Well,
and there's always going to be complaints like, oh, the top 12 and the seeding and all this and that, and a conference winner shouldn't automatically get a bye. It's the same argument about like, oh, the Rams shouldn't have gotten a game. Like a 14-win team shouldn't have to go on the road. Win your division, win your conference. To me, it's like if you want to get that bye or you want to host that game, it's really easy. Go and win out.
win.
That's what you got. All you got to do is win. This is the nature of it. So.
I was going to say, if the Vikings would have beat the Lions, they would have been the first seed. You know what I mean? And that's
right.
That's when you win or lose it, right? You win it or lose it against your division teams. The Rams beat all their division teams. They shut out Seattle. They shut out the 49ers. They lost once to the Cardinals, and then they beat the Cardinals.
They didn't shut out the 49ers.
They beat them twice.
Okay, that's a sweep. That's a swept. They swept them. A shutout is when you
don't said sweep.
No, you said shutout.
You say sweep.
The Rams swept Seattle and the Niners. They also got the brakes beat off them that one weird week against Arizona.
Right.
But it's like, hey man, any given Sunday. But to go back to the college football playoff, it's like, yeah, I mean, you saw 1 and 2 lost teams still make deep runs into the postseason. You saw a Notre Dame team that lost to NIU. Like that in any other year would have sunk their postseason hopes. There's still some tweaking that needs to be done. There should be no portal movement going on while there are college football games happening. And I guarantee that will be addressed in the offseason. How they overlooked that on this first one is, hey, these things happen. But I'm all in favor of it. I think next year it'll be better. Lane Kiffin is always going to cry about something. Oh, Ole Miss should have been in. Should have won more games, dude. The formula is really easy. Well, Alabama should be in. No, they shouldn't actually. Like, they not only did Alabama lost 3 games and 2 of them they got embarrassed in. Like, I get it. It's a new era for that school. It's the SEC, and the whole idea that the SEC, they can't buy players anymore. Well, they're still there in the dance. And let's be honest, college football teams have been buying players since the mid '90s. Probably before then, to be honest with you.
I was going to say too, look for the blowouts. Look at the NFL list, Selection 16. Most of those games were fucking blowouts.
Yeah.
Most of them were boring to watch. Don't get me wrong, there's still playoff football, but there was not much action to watch. Like, look at the Broncos Bills. If the Broncos didn't successfully do the fake punt, then that game would have been nothing to watch after that. I
mean, look, Denver hung around in the first half.
Right.
They did. Denver hung around in the first half, but I think we knew that game was going to. I mean, again, Denver was going to have to play a perfect game. I mean, they're outmatched all across the field. You're going up against the probable MVP, and just a roster that has a lot more talent on there at every position than Denver does. But I think Denver represented themselves well. I mean, look, we'd have to look back at our picks. I know I did not pick Denver to be a playoff team this year. I know you didn't either.
We didn't.
Yeah, most people didn't. So I thought they represented themselves well. But next year they're going to run into the same thing that I think you saw with Houston, and other teams like that this year, where you're not sneaking up on anybody.
No,
like Green Bay, same thing. Green Bay wasn't sneaking up on anybody this year. Detroit not sneaking up on anybody. Denver's gonna be in that position next year. Bo Nix is gonna have to take that year 2 step, which I think he will do. In that Sean Payton system, but they're gonna need to get some more pieces around him.
Right. I agree, and it's like the main point I was getting at is like every first round and even in hockey, teams get blown out 4-0. It's the first round. No one's really ready for that win or go home, especially the win or go home where it's just one game. You don't know. These early round matchups are really tough because they're going against some top teams versus the bottom teams. Believe it or not, I know they made it to the final 16. They're still part of the bottom teams. You know what I mean? Not saying that Minnesota, like the Minnesota game, that was kind of a blowout. Minnesota, the Rams beat the pants off their offensive line and made that game a blowout. The Eagles made Green Bay look sloppy. You could say that with all teams except for even the San Diego game, they were still in there, but it felt like they needed to do a whole lot more than the Texans to even keep up with them.
The three games you just referenced, the defenses are what caused those games to shift the way they did. Jordan Love, through 3 picks, 2 of them were absolutely atrocious. Herbert trying to do too much in San Diego. Darnold, holding on the ball too long, like a literal deer in the headlights. And what does everybody say? Running the football and playing defense is what travels. What wins playoff games. As we get into the second round here, I got a good friend of mine who says that this is the best week of football the entire season because you got the top seeds. You kind of trim some of the fat. It's the meat. This is where it's at right here. And so we'll get into a little bit more when we do our picks. I'm going to hammer some more on defense and running the football.
Right. I'm right there with you. But yeah, I mean that was my main point. Is like people said these college games are a blowout in the first round. Everyone is in the first round. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. So
it can be, although we've seen it in hockey. There's about every other year, like an 8 seed comes in with their ass on fire, and either beats the 1 seed or takes into a game 7. You see it in the NBA, too, and that's the difference. We say this every year. The NHL postseason is the best postseason tournament in all of professional sports, hands down, no doubt. I do like the one and done. I do like the win and go home. That's why I really didn't agree when MLB got rid of the one and done wild card play-in game. Like, I think that was great. You can't have a whole season hinge on one game. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You want to go. You can. It's like you want to matter. You want to be important. Then win. It's really easy. But I also get the more games equals more ad dollars and more time to sell jerseys and tickets and beer. And, this commercial break is brought to you by McDonald's and Stand Up for Cancer. And, let's talk more about, the bulge in Aaron Judge's pants and Juan Soto and free agency and all that shit. So.
Bring up the bulge again.
Bring up a clip of it, James. How does that man run with that down there, dude? Like, he's a big dude. I mean, obviously, yeah.
It caught me off guard. I was not expecting you to bring it up right there. Was all.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like they're showing Aaron Judge up at the plate, and it's like everybody in the stadium. Everybody watching at home, even the commentators are just like, yeah.
You gotta look up, yeah.
Let me check my notes here real quick, So,
I mean, out of everything, like he could have brought up how the 2 guys got banned from the MLB stadiums or whatever, but he just brought up that was just like I said, just caught me off guard. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and those dudes I'm surprised it took him as long as it did to ban those 2 assholes because it's one thing to interfere. I mean, the way they were pulling on Mookie Betts' arm, and we talked about this during the postseason. What if he gets hurt? What if that causes an injury? That's not okay. And then again, that other website sports podcaster that's named after furniture, brought those dudes in and like bought them drinks and gave them swag and like hyped them up like they were heroes. Like that's bullshit in my opinion, man. Like you can't be encouraging that behavior. Look, I'm an asshole. Anybody that knows me knows I'm an asshole, but even I wouldn't go that far.
Right. And you can't. These guys are premium athletes. Things, especially in the MLB or football, things are going to end up in the stands. They used to end up in the stands in hockey until they put all the nets. People stop getting knocked the fuck out all the time, especially in basketball. They're going to end up in your lap in basketball. So you can't treat them like that.
Well, it is, and it's one thing if you're a fan to chuck your nachos at them, chuck a beer at them, like that's going to happen. But physically grab onto someone like that, it's just not okay. And think of it this way: say that Mookie Betts does get hurt on that play, and it changes the momentum of
the outcome.
Changes the outcome, and the Yankees win. Doesn't that sort of taint, that Yankees World Series victory? I know Yankees fans don't care because they're one of the more insufferable fan bases in all of sports. But for the rest of the world, gonna be like, you guys had to go and like not even hurt him on the field of play, like sliding into second base or like a collision at home or something like that. You had to have, Joey Bag of Donuts and Bobby Gabagool, had to go out there and do the dirty work for you. Like that's just weak, man. Like that's just not something that should happen, or that player should have to worry about.
Yeah, and they shouldn't. That's what I mean. They shouldn't, because they're going to end up in your lap sometimes, and we see it like at least a few times a week that a player ends up in the stands or in the netting now.
Well, and it's the way they design the new stadiums. They want people there on top of the action, and those seats sell for a premium, and it is. But you're also in an era.
I want to be there.
Well, it's before they put the nets in. You saw it happen at AT&T and Pac Bell all the time. Some dude just hits a piss missile in that front row. Some dummy dude is there on his phone tapping away, and takes one off the noggin. That's why they had to put those nets in, because also, like, players are bigger, stronger, faster. Like, they're turning on those pitches. Those pitches are coming out of there like 118. The exit velocity on some of that stuff. I've had cars that don't go that fast.
I mean, that's why, like, my parents never took us to hockey games in the beginning, because there was no nets, and you're a little kid not paying attention. You get hit with that frozen 3-inch rubber puck, man, you're going down. I mean,
and we all know it was a tragedy that led to the nets being put in all around the league when that 14-year-old girl got took a puck to the head in Columbus. Ended up passing away later on that day. It's terrible that it takes a death or like a serious major injury to lead to that sort of stuff. Yeah, and I'm glad those two guys got suspended, in New York. They can go be Mets fans or something else. Do they get banned from every MLB stadium? I think they did, huh?
The post I saw said every MLB stadium.
Good.
Yeah, and like I said, it's rightfully deserved. It took way too long. It should have been the next day. They're like, nope, we're gone. But like you probably said, it's probably lawyers and shit like that got involved.
I think MLB wanted to run through their legal team and make sure that this thing was bulletproof, so that these guys couldn't go back and try to find some loophole in the decision to try to find their way back in. And so
that makes complete sense too.
And again, I am as baffled as anybody that MLB actually got something fucking right, because they never one thing a year they got this right. They managed not to screw this up.
Well, at least they did it at the beginning of the year. So now everything else is going to go bad.
Yeah, they got it out of the way. It's like they'll find a way to screw something else up. Like, I don't know, like putting like a thing for Sacramento on your nameless teams. Your team that doesn't have a city that's playing in Sacramento, put a little thing for Sacramento on their sleeve so they can play there. It's stupid.
I was going to ask you, how is it going with the A's in Sacramento? Have you heard anything about that stadium being MLB ready yet?
No, I've not heard anything regarding that. Last I heard, everything is in process. What that means and what the end result will be, I don't think we're going to know for probably another month or two.
Right.
I mean, the only free agent the A's signed was they overpaid for Severino, and then they extended one of their own guys, Brent Rooker. Right. They signed a Japanese kid to start in the minors. He's a two-way player who bypassed the Japanese system to come over here and to try to get into MLB early. So he's starting like rookie ball right now. But as terms of the facility or what any of that's going to look like, this is the A's, man. I don't think we're going to know until we're well into spring training. Are they going to let anybody put any cameras on there? So,
Right, because I haven't seen anything in my newsfeed pop up about the A's, and usually I see stuff about the stadium pop up, but it's been a hot minute since I've seen anything about what's going on in Sacramento with the A's. So
it's almost like they're distracted by trying to do something in Vegas that's not going to happen, as opposed to having a place ready to play for they're going to need in the next 3.5 months. So
I still can't believe they're going to have two teams playing in AAA stadiums. I get one team, because it was a complete natural disaster. It took out their stadium, and there's no way they can rebuild it in time.
Right. That's completely different. And I actually feel like that stadium that they're going to be playing in is probably better suited for what they're going to try to do, as opposed to, this cobbled together, just blind Helen Keller plan they're doing in Sacramento. I actually read something this evening where if you worked for the A's in 2024, there's no guarantee of employment in 2025. They are offering to pay like scoreboard operators, clubhouse people, stadium ballpark people, all that stuff, half of what they were paying them per hour in Oakland. And so they're not bringing any people with any MLB experience who are going to be there. So they're basically going to try to take advantage of like the people at UC Sacramento and UC Davis to come in there and work for pennies. And we're talking about like, ball boys, clubhouse attendants, field crew.
Sounds like an A's thing.
Everything. Well, I mean, they were paying them like between $30 and $40 an hour in Oakland, and now they're offering between 16 and 20 in Sacramento. Sacramento's not that much cheaper than Oakland. It really, really isn't. Granted, Sacramento's not the Bay. I hate to point that out to Sacramento people. You don't get to say you're from the Bay if you're from Sacramento. Nope. You're not. No, you're not. I hate to say that. You can rep the West Coast all day long. There's been a lot of good stuff that's come out of Sacramento. Sacramento grows some fantastic marijuana too. I can tell you this from experience. I played some great shows in Sacramento. It's cool, but you're not from the Bay. So trying to act like you can pay people half of what you were in Oakland and still trying to put on a MLB quality venue and amenities is a joke. Like I've said it again. This is the hill I will die on this year. Something in Sacramento is going to go so fucking sideways at some point during this baseball season that MLB is going to make John Fisher sell. He's going to have to take those $2 billion Joe Lacob has sitting on the table and go, and then eventually he'll get his expansion team in Vegas, because that whole deal still hasn't been figured out. They don't have a place to build. You look at their plans and then you look at the footprint, and those two things it's too big. It's not going to work. I will actually be in Vegas in the end of April. I might do a little man on the street. I might go stand out there, and that's a good idea. Actually, I think I might go do that. Although, don't want to get arrested in Vegas.
Right.
People will be like, "Oh, Zach got arrested in Vegas. He must have done some shit at a blackjack table." No, it was something else that was stupid. But
he was live streaming. Future home.
Live streaming at a where a casino used to be. Like, I'll go out there with a tape measure and measure out the dimensions, and show that this thing is not feasible, dude. It's not gonna work.
You're out there with that little rolling walking stick that counts every foot.
Yeah, dude. James, do you doubt that I would do that?
No, I don't doubt that you do it. Especially a few drinks in, you're like, no, fuck this, I'm done. I'm taking my measuring stick out there.
In my hand, it's gonna be the end of April. It'll actually probably not be too warm. So it's I do feel that the Sacramento thing is going to be a disaster. Players are going to complain. MLBPA is going to be like, this is not a suitable facility for people who are paying $60 million a year to play baseball. What is going on here? And I think MLB at some point is going to have to step in and be like, take your money. $2 billion is a lot of money, John Fisher. Take your money.
Right.
We'll give you an expansion team in Vegas in 2 years or something like that. But take your money, and Joe Lacob will move the A's back to Oakland, get the Howard Terminal deal done, and be a Bay Area hero. That's what I think happens.
Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen in Sacramento. Yeah. But let's get on to brighter news. Let's get it back onto this playoff picture here.
Yes, let's.
So let's bring up our playoff brackets here.
Revised playoff brackets.
Well, yours was revived. Mine was right. First off, we'll go with this. We're down to the Fantastic Eight, everybody. Yay! Only 4 more weeks of football left, and then it's going to be making up speculation and noise and trying to find a needle in
Yeah.
the haystack for your next player.
Yeah, we're gonna see if you can find, that missing piece on defense in the 6th round.
Exactly. uh, hey, people do it. The Rams and Niners do it all the time.
Fred Warner, I was gonna say Fred Warner was a 5th round pick. George Kittle was a 5th round pick.
Exactly. So we updated yours because you had the Chargers here and here.
Right, I had the Chargers beating Houston, and I had. Did I have the Vikings? I think I picked the Vikings.
Yeah, you had the Vikings beating the Rams. But mine was right so far. I didn't have to change shit. And I got a feeling now I'm going to be pretty close on, even in this one. I feel like the Rams got a chance, even though it's going to be a snow game. It's going to be interesting, but we'll get into that when we get into our
3 to 5 inches of snow they're predicting on Sunday in Philly.
Right. So, I mean, this is it. This is going to be it. Boiling it down, getting it down, grinding down to the dirty 8. I mean, look at this. I'm going to love the 6-1 and then the 3-2 in the AFC. It's just those games are going to be what playoffs are all about.
It's appointment football. Put your phone on silent, make some nachos, crack a beer, eat a gummy, and hang on for the ride. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, these Saturday night and Sunday night games are going to be awesome.
And then
my schooling is going to be affected majorly, but these are going to be. It's going to be awesome to watch these games and just say.
Dude, we're gonna get snow playoff night football. I mean, what else could you possibly ask for?
Is it the Rams? Is it going to be a night game? It's going to be an afternoon game.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, no. Also, I thought also in Buffalo though.
Oh, that is going to be in Buffalo. Is it snow? Is it going to snow? I heard it's going to be cold. I'm not 100% sure it's going to snow.
It's going to be cold and snowy. So we've got. It's going to be.
I thought it was only going to have like an inch of snow.
It's going to be cold in Kansas. It's going to be really cold in Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah, the Sunday night game. It's supposed to be inclement weather. So.
Right.
But I think of all the teams that's not going to affect that's going to affect the least would be Baltimore.
and the Bills, yeah, both those teams are not going to care about the weather.
The weather's not. Well, and again, especially the way that Buffalo or that Baltimore plays, like, oh no, we got to run the ball a bunch.
Oh,
do we have the right guy for that?
Right? Do we have the right quarterback for it too? You know what I mean?
For sure. I think Lamar's going to throw the ball less than 20 times in that game, and you're going to see a lot of him and Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers, they had said was going to play, and now he's doubtful again. I think you're going to see a lot of Mark Andrews. But besides that, it's going to be a lot of RPO, Derrick Henry just doing his Marshawn Lynch impersonation, just running through a motherfucker's face over and 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 over again. Got to run through motherfucking face.
So is Joe Mixon going to play?
Yes.
He's still questionable.
I heard he's questionable, but I don't see right now any reason why he wouldn't play unless he aggravates something. I mean, he played last week, so unless he aggravates something in warm-ups, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't play.
Right. Unless Mixon didn't. It's still a surprise. He didn't practice on Thursday and was limited Wednesday. So we'll see. At least that's what CBS says. It's still up in the air.
Well, I could also see that Joe Mixon's a veteran. Like he doesn't. I think he doesn't need the reps. Like save that juice for when it matters.
Right. And I'm right there with you. I think it is gonna. Yeah, I think he is gonna play, and that's what that's why you give him these off days.
Right.
That's exactly why you give him these off days. And then Montgomery's going to be back for the Lions, which is going to be fantastic.
Right, but it's like to what? How effective? Like that. There's no way that needs 100%. And
right,
I get that using him in the short yardage situations as kind of the thunder to the Jahmyr Gibbs lightning. Yeah, and Jahmyr Gibbs also looked great without David being the primary back, without David Montgomery being there. It's always good to get a guy like that back. Also, just to have him dressed in the locker room, running out, like, especially the way that team is built. Yeah, that's going to be contagious.
I still can't believe that the Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia and the New York Giants let their top running backs go like the way that they did that. What Montgomery is his second year in the Lions, right? Or is this his first year?
Second, I want to say.
Now. Yeah, okay. So the year before, and now the Eagles did the same thing and just made Saquon fucking brutally better, so much better behind an offensive coach and an offensive line that is one of the top in the league.
Right, but let's look at the two franchises you just mentioned. It's Chicago and the Giants. These aren't teams that have a real good track record when it comes to making good personnel decisions. I will admit that Chicago got some right. You had a good draft. You went and got Keenan Allen. With the Chargers having to just get themselves out of that salary cap situation they were in. That worked out for them. But then you go and do something stupid like let David Montgomery walk and go and get DeAndre Swift when, DeAndre Swift is great, but he's not the bruiser you need that I think to play in the NFC North. And you look at what David Montgomery's doing in Detroit. Look at Aaron Jones, look at Josh Jacobs. These are between the tackles, beefy dudes who are going to run hard and, put their shoulder down and go through people. DeAndre Swift, great offensive weapon. No doubt about that at all. But he's not a bruising back. And that's what you need to play in the NFC North and be successful.
Right. Exactly. And I completely agree with you there. And you don't get me wrong, the Gibbs works out if you're in a dome. And the Lions play most of their games in a dome. And luckily, one other team has a dome too, so his skill set is needed in the Lions. But in Chicago, you need a back like Montgomery in there, and Swift was obviously the wrong choice to go. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a drastic back step, but it did turn out to be that drastic.
I also think a lot of it had to do with the absolutely asinine play calling of Matt Eberflus.
True. That line too was not helping them at all.
Well, it wasn't. It was just bad coaching. I think it's just bad coaching all the way around. And that's the Bears have a lot of talent on paper, and what I think they're going to try to do, and it really depends on who they hire as a coach. When it reminds me in 2012 when the Niners went from Singletary to Harbaugh. Harbaugh took that same roster to an NFC Championship game and was a fumbled punt away from going to the Super Bowl. I would not be at all surprised if the Bears were to bring in the right coach to do a drastic turnaround on that roster and turn them into a double-digit win team and have them in a playoff hunt. That wouldn't surprise me.
I agree. Oh, we should talk about playoff coaches. I totally forgot about the coaches there.
I do have
Mike Vrabel is now
he got hired. He got hired by the Pats, and then I have a couple Niner coaching updates too.
Okay, let me pull this up real quick. Where they got fired? So, Mayo is the coach here. Vrabel is the coach here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been hearing some interesting names for the Cowboys being brought up today, like Deion Sanders and whatnot. And Jason Witten?
Jason Witten, yeah, I heard that too. I think that's fucking retarded. I heard Tony Romo's name thrown around. That's stupid.
Here we go. So yeah, Mike Vrabel landed the coach of the New England Patriots, and I think we all kind of saw that coming once they fired Mayo.
Yes.
Mike McCarthy, the writing was on the walls. It just what they did to him was kind of dirty. Oh no, you can't go interview anywhere else. When they knew he was not going to get a contract extension.
He should have left after last year if not getting an extension. He did this to himself.
Well, you're in a contract. You can't really. Coaches can't bounce out like players can as easily.
Sure, you can.
Without retiring.
He can quit.
He can quit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know how coaches' contracts work too well, so I'm not 100% sure about that. Another interesting name I saw pop up for the Cowboys was Robert Saleh to the Cowboys as well.
So that's what I want to talk about was the report I read today was that the Niners told Robert Saleh they will make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Oh, really?
And Brian Griese turned down an interview request from the New York Jets to become their head coach. He's currently the Niners quarterback coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which speaks to no one wants that fucking Jets job.
Right, right. And well, look at what they did to Sala. They ran him
Right,
out of the fucking building.
right, exactly. Well, because you let some, fucking dirty hippie high on DMT and fucking ayahuasca start making fucking, making all the moves there.
Exactly, and you can't do that to people. It's completely wrong, and this is what happens, man. You lose faith in your organization, and I can't believe fans are still like big time fans of these guys. You know, maybe it's just generational gaps in there, but man, it's got
I
to be
mean,
rough to be a fan.
I don't know. It's like, being with an abusive spouse.
You just can't let it go, all right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I still think
Dude,
here,
and
Pete
take
Carroll.
Belichick. I take Belichick off the Raiders list. No, Belichick he's building his staff in UNC right now. Belichick's not coming back to the NFL.
You don't think so?
No, he's building his staff. He hired 2 guys today or this week for a
All right.
staff in UNC. He's not leaving, at least not this year.
All right, so let's kind of break it down a little bit more here. Where do you think Robert Saleh or the Jets? I mean, do you think they do go for Arthur Smith or Ron Rivera? Ron Rivera. I mean,
I don't know.
or do they go into? So I hear the Lions defense coordinator too is up there. I forget his name.
Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. Yeah. So I hear Aaron Glenn is a big possible outcome here.
I don't see them going defensive coach back to back. Rarely you see teams do that. I think they're going to end up going with Arthur Smith because I don't think any of those 3 dudes right there. It's AARON for Aaron.
Wait, AARON. I know there's 2 letters somewhere in there.
Okay, there you go. I think it's going to end up being Arthur Smith because he has head coaching experience. He's an offensive play caller, and I don't think any of those other 3 dudes are going to touch that fucking job.
I can see that too. I mean, what about Cliff Kingsbury?
No, I don't.
He doesn't want to leave.
No, he's not to the Jets.
Right. I honestly see him staying in Washington for another year and then getting how the Lions offensive coordinator
Ben Johnson.
can do what he wants.
His quarterback's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and if Jaden Daniels continues on this, he'll probably get some MVP votes next year if he continues on this. All that does is make Cliff Kingsbury that much more attractive to other teams,
and that much more money.
Absolutely.
And I agree. I don't see Cliff Kingsbury going to any of these teams. I kind of see Ben Johnson still going to the Bears. Honestly, I could see that being really appetizing for him, just because it's another high-powered offensive player with the quarterback.
I think what that comes down to is, does Ben Johnson believe in Caleb Williams or not? And no one besides Ben Johnson knows the answer to that question.
Exactly. I'm right there with you, but I still think that's the most appetizing for him. That or the Raiders. But if he goes to the Raiders, he needs to find a quarterback. They need to move up for a quarterback for him.
Absolutely, and I think that would be part of the conversations that all of these coaches looking at the Raiders' job to be okay. Like, well, what's your plan? Like, are you going to go and try? Are you going to go get a Darnold or a Cousins for a year to mentor a young quarterback? Are you going to trade up and try and get like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Like, what is your plan here, Tom Brady? Because at this point, Mark Davis needs to shut up and start writing checks.
Right. I still think the Jacksonville would be a good fit for him, but who knows there? I mean, that's another organization that's kind of up in the air right now because of their general manager is just a complete retard.
Trent Baalke. Cousin Baalke.
Trent Baalke, that's his name. Yeah. And then we all know the Cowboys. You got to be in Jerry Jones's lifestyle, or it's the highway for you.
Right. I know that everyone keeps talking about Dion, and he's having off-the-record conversations with Jerry Jones and stuff like that. I don't know. For one, Dion wants to coach his kid. they're not drafting Shedeur Sanders in Dallas. For one, he's going to be off the board by then, and they just gave
Right.
Dak Prescott all that money last year.
I
I
agree.
think that if they do go that route, the Cowboys win 4 to 6 games, but they're going to be half the primetime games because it's going to be an absolute circus, a complete fucking spectacle. Watching these guys just like implode on the field every single week. I'm here for all of that. I'll watch it, but it's not going to be a good product, in terms of it's not going to lead to W's or anything.
Right. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. But we'll see. This is still going to get interesting. This is more of the off-season chatter as it heats up. So I'm liking all the content.
After this weekend, there's going to be another batch of coaches that are going to be available to interview with the teams that get eliminated.
Yep. You get that week and a half break, and where they're going to be able to get. And that's where, like, the Rams always lose a coordinator or two. I mean, I'm surprised Chris Tula's name is not on this list. If Chris Tula beats the Eagles with his defense, you might hear his name get called for an interview. No?
I don't know. I don't know if Chris Shula has a high enough profile yet. Like, maybe he could get poached as a DC for another team, but I don't think Chris
He's
Shula.
already defensive coordinator, so I don't think he could do that lateral transition.
What if they doubled his salary?
I don't think the Rams would let him walk, though.
Okay.
Because he's under contract, right? I mean, I don't think he can move that laterally. I know you can put a team to be up ahead, but the Rams can block a lateral move. They can't block where you're going from a head coach or from an assistant to a head coach. But if you're going laterally,
what's to stop Chris Shula from quitting and going and interviewing?
They're best friends. I don't know.
Yeah, I could just, I don't know. But I think Chris Shula is in a good situation. It's very similar to what we just said about Cliff Kingsbury, where, hey, I'm going to stick around for another year, raise my profile, raise my dollar amount, raise my value, and then maybe some of those conversations start happening from there.
And that's what the Lions will have to do with Ben Johnson. They have to get him that. They have to pay him either double or he's gone.
I don't see a scenario where Ben Johnson stays, in Detroit after this season. There's a lot of. I mean, the other side of it, dude, is like, okay, Ben Johnson to Dallas. I could see him with his offensive pedigree going and working in Dallas. That's a great fit. As much as I don't like the Cowboys and don't like Jerry Jones, Ben Johnson in that situation is a massive upgrade over McCarthy. No doubt about that. Right. But I mean, the Jets rebuild. Saints, not really. I mean, there are some pieces there, but there's also like lacking on the offensive line.
So much debt that they have to trade everything away at the end of every year.
Right. The Bears. Okay, we talked about that. That could be intriguing. Patriots have been answered. Jacksonville, would anyone want to work with Cousin Balky? No, I don't think so. Right. The Raiders, again, tempting, but you're looking at a 1 to 3 year plan in a tough division with 3 playoff teams already to try to get the pieces together to go and work. Now, what does Ben Johnson think of Tom Brady? What does Tom Brady think of Ben Johnson? That's, again, that's the conversation to be a fly on the wall for.
Right. So Tom Brady's reaching out to like all these coaches. He's like, hey, come work with me. I want to get this organized straight. I want to give them the Patriot way and stuff like that. It's going to be my way or the highway kind of deal. So that's what I really see happening in the Raiders. There's no more GM. It's going to be everything's going to be ran through Tom Brady. And Tom Brady he played.
Tom Brady's the shadow GM right now, but come the regular season, because of the restrictions with him being an announcer and stuff like that, they're going to need to put a GM in place. But it's going to be someone that Tom Brady and Richard Seymour sign off on, to make sure that he's going to operate the way that they want him to.
Right. And that's what I mean. It's like it's going to be Tom Brady's way. It's going to be how the Cowboys, Jerry Jones. It's Jerry Jones's team. It's going to be Tom Brady's team to do what he wants, and I think he gets a chance to do that because of what he did in the NFL. I think he does get a chance to do that. He has a winning way. He's won the most Super Bowls ever as a quarterback. His team's always made it to the playoffs. He's doing what Mahomes is doing right now. He's creating that legacy. He has that legacy, and he gets that chance.
Mahomes is doing what Brady has already done, or trying to do what Brady has already done.
Right, exactly. Be that juggernaut out there, and he's doing it.
The question with Mahomes is, what does he do when Andy Reid eventually retires? Because Andy Reid's going to retire before Mahomes leaves or that contract is up. I mean, Andy Reid's an old dude. He is. Like, let's be honest here.
Does he get? And does it? If he gets a third one in a row, does he walk this year?
That's a great question.
Right. I mean, I could see a coach be like, "Dude, I got 3 in a row. No coach has ever done that. I'm out. No coach will ever do that again."
3 in a row, four total. Yeah, it's these are all great. These are all great questions.
So yeah, we'll see. All right, let's get back into the meat of it here. Let's get to this play. Let's go ahead and get. Do you want to talk about past games, or you just want to go ahead and move forward to the future games?
We can move on to let's get into this weekend, because this is where the meat of the playoffs really happens here.
Right. All right. Here we go. Let's go to our picks screen here. All right. Texans Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 9 points. And I think that's way too high. I think that's really disrespectful. Even the Commanders at +10 are disrespectful.
I agree. These are playoff teams that showed their mettle last week. To give them that big of a spread, especially against a Chiefs team that really is like they don't beat teams like that. So
yeah, they're beating teams that most of their games have been 1-score games. To make it a 2-score game is kind of out there reality. I don't know what they're thinking. I know it's a cold weather game. Joe Mixon's going to be probable. I think that's why it's so high right now. Because if Joe Mixon comes, that's got to drop down to 6.
Or let me put on my conspiracy beanie here. The fix is already in. They already know. the NFL has already dictated that their pretty boy. Look, we all know that Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift are going to be up there with like the Kelseys, in the box. They're going to be showing them every third goddamn play. It's we're talking about selling selling tickets and selling merch and screen time here. But I expect I am picking the Texans to win. They 100% cover that 9 though.
So it looks like you got the Texans here. You're taking the Texans with the +9.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Texans. I'm picking the Texans to win. They definitely cover the 9.
Right. I kind of want to take the Texans to win too. Like I want to change up my board, but at the same time, I can't see that right now. I mean, that's just Chiefs is the Chiefs. They go to this round every year. They go to the championship round every year. So it's hard to bet against them, but that spread's just too high. I've already told you my picks and my gambling picks at least. And yeah, I have the Texans at +9 because the Chiefs never cover, especially this high. It's just not foreseeable. I think this long break is going to slow them down in the first half, and they're going to kick it back in the second. They're going to find their gear in the second half, but by then the score will be too close for them to make that 9-point leap. That's kind of my prediction of the game.
Okay.
Next up is going to be a great shootout. And for it to be a 10-point lead on the Commanders like this, that's really, really strange. I know the Commanders are like the 31st team in the run game, and the Lions are like one of the better run teams in the league. So I think they're only like 3rd or 4th in the league. So it's really strange that it's 10 points.
Well, it's like, do whoever set that spread, do they forget that the Lions have their entire starting defense injured?
I feel like they do. And Jaden Daniels, I think they're just betting against Jaden Daniels, honestly, and I can't see that. Like, I'm going with Jaden Daniels. I kind of want to take the upset here still, and the Commanders just straight out win. This is another game I want it to be an upset. Like, I could see it easily being an upset because of Jaden Daniels.
I think Detroit, hangs on and wins this one, but it's Washington easily covers the 10.
Right, I agree too. I agree. I mean, that's just too many points. It's disrespectful. It is a complete disrespectful. All right, next up we got the Rams and the Eagles. You of course you know what I'm doing here. I'm picking my Rams to win. I just hope the Rams defense that showed up against the Vikings, their poor rushing whole game is there again. And they put it to Hurts this time because last time they played against Hurts, they rushed him 24 times but only got to him twice, and they can't do that again this year. Um, I'm hoping their cornerbacks get into it and they get another safety or like a cornerback or safety sack again. Even though this is going to be a highly run game, because what is it? It's going to be 3 to 5 inches of snow in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
I do believe Matthew Stafford is like 1-8 in snow games. So
he's played his entire career in a dome in Georgia or in LA.
Right. And I could go on. Like Kyron Williams like fumbled a bunch of times in their first matchup. Tackling was another huge issue within their first matchup. I don't think they completed it. I don't remember them completing any third downs last time they played, and this was in LA. And I can't ignore Barkley going for 55 yards on this Rams defense. Now this was the first defense Spites being back, or Spites going in, and it looked bad. I think he was just not ready for the fast pace of the game. And now that he's been in this defense for so long, this defense can anchor around him. And you kind of saw that a lot throughout the year. So we'll see how it goes with him being in there. My concerns would be Weatherspoon is going to be he might not play, and so A.J. Brown's going to have another monstrous game because Witherspoon is questionable still with his thigh. I think he pulled the thigh muscle.
Right.
So he is going to be questionable, and same thing with Alec Jackson. He's going to be questionable. So that's going to be really hurtful for the Rams. It looks like the Eagles have got a full squad of everybody that's on the roster right now. So they're going to miss not Blonde. What was his name? Went down. Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean's done for the season. So yeah. That's a definitely a blow to their defense. That may impact positively the Rams rushing game, but home game in the snow. You're going to see, I think, a huge dose of Saquon. You're going to see a lot of Dallas Goedert. Probably going to see Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. The Eagles are going to take their shots. The Eagles are going to take their shots downfield, especially going up against like a backup corner. And the thing is, you're going to need to leave a safety high because if you let A.J. Brown get past them, it's going to be ugly real quick. Also, don't want to neglect Jared Verse. Given the Philly, giving Philadelphia some bulletin board material here. Jared Verse came out today and said that the sight of the green and white makes him sick. Now, bear in mind, this is a dude who grew up and went to school, 100 miles north of Philadelphia. So, is he a Steelers fan? Was he a Giants Jets fan growing up? Who knows? But he's the reputation of Philly sports fans in general is well known and well deserved. But going and giving them bulletin board material, especially, and even hinted at Philly fans were riding them pretty hard at that game at SoFi earlier this year that you were just talking about. Giving these guys more motivation to drink that much more and to magnify every single thing you do. Imagine if Jared Verse gets pancaked on like a end around or something like that. Like these fans, it's going to be absolutely insane. So Jared Verse, and again, young dude, confident, going to be getting some votes for Defensive Rookie of the Year, has had a monster rookie season, no doubt about it. Like not going to take anything away from the kid, but man, you really should have shut the fuck up. This was not the time to open your mouth and go out there and let your play speak for you and maybe talk after. But giving Philly fans and that Philly offensive line this sort of bulletin board material, he's probably in for a long day. I picked the Eagles to win and cover.
Okay. Because of the snow?
The snow at home, that defense and running the football, those are all things to me that lead to and are conducive to a postseason victory.
Right. And I 100%, I totally, to those elements, yeah, that's exactly what it takes to do. And I want to say one thing on the verse thing again too. I think it was his reaction was to that dude talking so much trash to the Green Bay Packer girl on the video. Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah. The dude got fired. Yeah.
Yeah, they got him. Everybody hunted him out, got fired. So I think that was his reaction to that video, and so that's why he came out talking so much smack about fans. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I heard.
Again, should have just kept himself. Saquon Barkley even came out and said, "Remember, Saquon played these dudes twice a year when he was in New York." He's like, I felt a certain way, but I knew to keep my mouth shut. And again, I think that's just the difference of a veteran versus a rookie. Hey, maybe Jared Verse comes out and gets double-digit tackles, a sack, forces a fumble, plays a lights out game. I think unfortunately that everyone's going to be keyed on him, and I also expect this game is going to be chippy. This is going to be a dirty grind them out. Dudes are going to be hitting until the echo of the whistle. You're going to see some scrums. You're going to see some scuffling. You're going to see some flags get thrown. You're going to see guys getting 15-yard penalties. It's going to be a trench battle. It's going to be the opposite of the Lions Commanders game, where I think it's going to be a grindy, and the weather's going to have a lot to do with that. It's going to be a grindy, just old school playoff slug 'em out battle.
And these are going to be one of the top offensive lines in football versus the one top of the offensive lines in defenses. It is, like I said, it is going to be a trench battle. I'm so here for it. The Rams, I just read too before hopping on, is got one of the heaviest offensive lines out there. So it's going to be, that's what they gave them fits last time they played. The rush got to them, but not as heavily as they wanted to, from what I hear. So it's going to be interesting in the snow who's able to stay on their feet this snow.
Right.
As we saw the Bills Niners game this year in the snow in Buffalo.
Same thing when the Niners played in Green Bay and all that snow as well. The same thing. And again, the Rams don't do this a lot, where they're on Philly's turf. That first quarter is, I think, going to determine a lot of, do the Rams have the right footwear? Are they able to get their equipment guys on the sideline to get people where they need to go? Matt Stafford, already not a spry dude. Him trying to run out there to set his feet in, 3 to 5 inches of snow and some slush, like it's not good for quarterbacks. So that's going to be a lot of things to keep an eye on early in that game. That was what's going to set the tone.
Right, I'm right there with you. It's going to be a great game, though. Like you said, this is like some of the best games in football. So, like we said earlier, so this is going to be another great game.
Yes, sir.
And then, honestly, let's get up to this next one. Is the matchup of the weekend. Like everybody knows that whoever wins this pretty much wins MVP of the year. Pretty much is how it goes, because these are the two quarterbacks for the MVP. Whoever wins this is going to be put themselves on another mountain stool or that little extra stepping stone to get that MVP, because it's going to rely on these quarterbacks before.
Did you say mountain stool?
Yeah, I did. I think I did.
It's another step up the mountain, James. Another step up the mountain. I believe was the phrase you were looking for.
There you go. That's probably what I was looking for. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, so here it goes. It goes Ravens, Bills. Ravens are favored by 1 point. And it's probably because it's Derrick Henry in the backfield. They give him that extra point.
I guess, but I mean, the fact that it's in Buffalo, I think would swing that 1 point the other way, if anything.
I think that's why it's a 1 point. Honestly, they want to do a pick 'em here, but they probably can't because it's the playoffs. They have to have a. They have to.
Yeah, you got to give them something. Yeah, I get that.
But I think it's, man, this is going to be anybody's game. I think we're both on the Bills side, though. I think we're both taking the Bills.
I am taking Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo at home. The weather in this one is a non-factor because of what the Ravens play in this time of year anyway. They are built to run the football. They are built to play in bad weather. But I think that Josh Allen is a man on a mission. And this is going to be a close game. It's going to be similar, I think, to the Rams and Eagles game, where it's going to be just a trench battle. You're going to see a lot of guys grinding it out, a lot of running the football. It's going to come down to special teams. It's going to be a field position battle. It's going to be a chess match. Honestly, I think from a coaching standpoint, John Harbaugh is the chess master here as opposed to McDermott. But and the reason when we did our initial brackets for the postseason, this is the game where playoff Lamar shows up again. And that's going to be the difference maker. Now, if Lamar can hold on to the football, not do that thing where he runs around, keeps it away from his body, gets careless, then that may change things a little bit. But I think Josh Allen goes and puts this team on his back, gets him to the AFC Championship game, and cements his lock on the MVP.
Okay, I can see that. I can definitely see that. It's going to be, I really think you're going to see a big, huge doses of King Henry, and you're going to see Josh Allen do what he's doing all year long and just taking this team on his back and really driving this team forward. Whether it's running or passing, you're going to see a lot of Josh Allen just doing what he's done all year, running for the touchdown. And they're going to see it.
Well, and let's forget, this is not the traditional Ravens defense that we've seen for the last decade plus. Like they were, they were probably this is the worst, I think, Ravens defense that we've seen in the John Harbaugh era.
I believe so.
And I think that you're going to see Josh Allen get loose and get into the secondary, especially down in the red zone. And we've all seen when Josh Allen gets going with a head of steam, no one wants to tackle him. And there's no more Ed Reed or Ray Lewis out there to do that. He's running through motherfucker's face. So I think
and he's done that all year too.
He's been doing it all year, and I think you're going to see more of that. Like Josh Allen is playing like a man possessed. I think Josh Allen and the rest of this Bills team knows that this is their window. You've got a weak Kansas City team. You don't have to worry about facing Burrow in the postseason. Like, this is it. This is your shot. So I think they all know that they're going to be playing with that intensity. And also after this, if Kansas City does get eliminated, AFC Championship has to go through Buffalo. And that fan base is going to know that. This team knows that. And I think that sense of urgency is going to be the difference maker.
I agree with you. I agree. And that's why I'm picking them. But we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be interesting. Real quick, let's see here. Last week's picks. Oh, wait. I got to actually click this. Yeah, I did. Oh, the stupid thing's in the way. Oh, what the hell? I didn't update. Oops. No, here it is. Here it is.
Okay.
So.
Oh, from last week? Okay.
Yeah, last week's picks. Just a complete trouncing by me, 4-2. So.
I don't know if they call that a trouncing, but okay.
When there's only 6 games to pick. Right? There's 8 games to pick. 4-2. Got half of them right. No, 6. Yeah, I got 6 of them right. I don't know how that's only 4. Something's up with my calculations there. I'll fix that next week.
With the spread, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I did pick the Packers to cover the spread.
Right, and that's where it hurt you. I said, no, the Eagles are going to blow them out. You picked the Broncos, though. You said the Broncos were going to get blown out, or the Bills were going to blow out the Broncos. We both picked wrong on the Steelers. Like, I don't know what's up with their Steelers offense, man. They just don't show up sometimes, and
they look terrible down the stretch. And George, I put a lot of that on George Pickens, and I think it speaks to why you saw the Steelers be so in on trying to pry Brandon Ayuk out of San Francisco in the offseason. They need a true second receiver. They went and traded for Mike Williams mid-season, but even those mid-season trades never really work out that well. Do you let Russell Wilson walk? Do you go Justin Field? Do you re-sign Russell Wilson and let Justin Field walk? They've got
so many question marks on that offense.
There's so many question marks on that offense. I know TJ Watt's going into the last year of his deal. He was nicked up down the stretch. A lot of people were saying that Mike Tomlin isn't the guy to get it done anymore. There's also a lot of fan bases and teams that would kill for, not ever having a losing season during a tenure in arguably what's a tough division most years. Yeah, you get the Browns, but I mean, you've got a competitive Cincinnati team. You've got to, go up against you've got to go up against the Ravens twice a year. So,
yeah,
I mean, if you get rid of Mike Tomlin, okay, but who do you replace him with?
Exactly. I'm right there with you. Like, who do you replace him with? Another interesting pickup I heard that they're trying to get is Devontae Adams.
I can see that. I also think that Devontae Adams wants. I think Devontae Adams ends up in New Orleans with Derek Carr.
I can see that. I can see that because that's where he wanted to go last time, and he wanted to go play with his buddy. So
Right, and then
I
Josh
can definitely
McDaniels
see
went
that.
and shat all over that.
Right.
So, and let's not forget, if you have Chris Olave on one side, Devontae Adams on the other,
Oof,
that
that's
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 that's that could be a problem. And again, and not a very good NFC South.
right. Right. Yeah, because that's anybody's division still. You know, it's.
I
I
mean,
know
yeah,
Tampa won it twice in a row.
Tampa Bay's won it, but at some point, Mike Evans is going to retire. Baker, I think, only has like a year or two left on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta showed some moxie down the stretch once they made the switch over to Penix.
Right.
How is that going to translate into next year? That's a $1 million question. Carolina, to me, I thought showed some great improvements in the second half of the season. They really, really did.
I did too.
But again, we're also grasping at straws here to make that division sound competitive. So
Right, it's like the AFC South, right? It's kind of anybody's division.
look, someone's got to win it. Someone's got to win it. So
And don't get me wrong, I still think that's Texas. That's the Texas division for the next few years, honestly, until they fix what's going on in Jacksonville and in Indianapolis. I don't think you can fix what's going on in Tennessee.
Tennessee's going into a full blown rebuild. Tennessee today did hire the assistant GM out of Kansas City to be the new GM moving forward. Yeah,
Which is good. I mean, that's kind of. I don't think that's going to fix the issues.
You're getting a guy coming out of a good organization with a good pedigree. You pair him up with a young head coach. Yes, there's some definite pieces there, but Mason Rudolph and Will Levis, they're not the answers. That much is obvious. Right. So, it's the most important position on the field, so they got to try to go get that right.
Well, they got the first draft pick, so they can get whoever they want, or they can trade back and.
I think they go. I think they go and get Cam Ward, draft Cam Ward out of Miami.
I just don't see how you take Sanders #1 overall. Don't get me wrong; he's a great football player. He's got the pedigree to be elite quarterback. But to me, I think Cam Ward's the quarterback of this draft. I think
Cam Ward played against a higher level of talent too. Like, does Shedeur Sanders have a higher ceiling? Yes. Is he ready now? No. I think Cam Ward is a little more NFL ready. But you also run the risk if you don't get some pieces around him to, put him out there and basically damage him in the first 6 weeks, and the guy never recovers from that.
Exactly. I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, my thoughts are the same. But he is NFL ready. I'm right there with you, and I think he is going to be the #1, even though everybody wants Sanders to be #1. I think that's just more hype because it's the last name of Sanders.
Sanders. Fully agree. I agree. And I could also see a team, that doesn't need a quarterback taking Travis Hunter before Shedeur Sanders.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if anybody from Colorado should go first, it's that their cornerback and wide receiver.
Travis Hunter, for sure.
Hunter. Yeah. Okay, that was Hunter. I thought it was Sprout or something for some reason. I don't know. I'm bad with names.
No.
Well, we'll get into the draft here one of these days once football comes into an end.
We've got a combine, we've got the draft. There's going to be trades. There's free agency. There's the schedule drop. There's so much going on. There'll be so much.
I kind of like the Rams schedule drop. I've seen who they're playing. It's looking nice next year. I'm kind of liking where they're at. It's going to be not as a grueling schedule as the Rams and Niners had this year.
Right. I'm liking the Niners' 4th place schedule. It's going to work.
Right.
It's going to give them the perfect, I think, opportunity to swing that pendulum the other way after a disappointing season. Get the offseason, get healthy, extend Brock, reinforce that offensive line. There's going to be some moving pieces. Niners have a full complement of draft picks, drafting at number 11. That's an immediate impact player you can get right there. It needs to be offensive line. It needs to be the offensive line.
Yes, it does. It does. Let's see here. The Rams' next year's opponents are, besides our division, is Saints, Tampa Bay, Texans, Colts, Carolina, Falcons, Jags, Titans. And then the other ones are still to be determined, if I remember correctly. I didn't get that past that one. This was like a week or two ago. I think it's going to drop after this. They'll fill it in the blanks because the Rams are going to be top class. So it's probably going to be, like the Lions are in there, and then like either like the Bills or the Ravens will be in there again. And then it'd probably be maybe even the Eagles.
So the Niners at home get Atlanta. They get the NFC South. They get Atlanta, Carolina, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and the Bears. Away, they go to Cleveland, Houston, Indy, New Orleans, the New York Giants, and the Bucks.
There you go.
And
And
depending
is it
on
still-
and depending on when it drops, when it happens, I will be going to the New Orleans game. New Orleans is a fun fucking city.
That sounds like a great time, man. I really need to get out to New Orleans one of these years. I'll do it one
I
of
highly
these days.
recommend it. It's a fun city. It's got a great vibe, good food, good people, good music, good drinks. I also have a bit of an affinity for the South after having lived there. As the high tomorrow is going to be -1. The high the day after that, -6. So yes,
Well-
my
It sounds like you're going to be bunkered into your house like I am, but for different reasons.
yeah, it's all good. Well, I got a dog that likes to go outside in the cold because he won't go poop in the backyard unless I walk him. He's a real fucking jerk. So
Hey, you gotta bundle up anytime. We can go outside, man. I don't even want to go outside, dude. It just smells like chemicals and tastes like chemicals.
well, hopefully,
So-
like they get the fire put out and you get a breeze that comes through and kind of blows it all away, and it's better tomorrow.
All right, we're downwind of it. That's the main
That
source.
sucks. Yeah, that's not the place
Yeah.
to be.
No, and it's like from what I heard, the last time these battery places went up in flames, it took like 5 days to burn out.
It's like the Springfield tire fire, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna go on and on and on. So I might have to move. It's forever burning. Oh, great. Just what I need. Sell my house already.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll get max value for it with a battery fire going on.
Exactly right. All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other sports?
No, that's really all I got today. So
Okay. Well, give us a like, shout out, comment, whatever your favorite thing was. Give some hate it to us. We enjoy all that. We'll give it right back. We're not as scared to be keyboard warriors. Right back at you.
yeah, we will definitely. You tell us to go fuck ourselves, we'll tell you to go fuck yourself in many various well-spoken, different languages. Even we're smart like that.
We're bilingual. All right, guys. You guys all have a good night. And remember, the easiest way to make money on the internet is to scare you guys. Good night.
See you guys.